Welcome back to our journey. Last week we stood on the shores of a vibrant, bustling North America. Today we turn our gaze across the Atlantic to the east. To the young people listening today, if you feel like the world is changing too fast or that resources are scarce, you're not alone in history. In the late 1400s, Europe felt small, hemmed in, and hungry for a future it couldn't yet see. Today we're going to look at why people were willing to risk everything on a wooden ship in an unknown ocean. It wasn't just about adventure, it was about a search for hope in a very challenging time. A world under pressure. To understand why Europe looked west, we have to understand what life was like there. For most people, life was incredibly localized and difficult. Europe was recovering from the ripples of the Black Death, and the continent was a patchwork of kingdoms often at war. But there was a dream of keeping them going: the Indies. In the 15th century, the finest things in life, silks, gold, and especially spices like cinnamon and black pepper, came from Asia. These weren't just luxuries. Spices were essential for preserving food and making a limited diet palatable. But the land routes, the Silk Roads, were long, dangerous, and controlled by middlemen who made these goods incredibly expensive. Europe felt blocked. The fall of Constantinople, 1453. A huge turning point happened in 1453 when the city of Constantinople fell to the Ottoman Empire. For Europeans, this felt like a door slamming shut. The traditional gateway to the east was now under different control, and taxes on trade skyrocketed. This created a necessity is the mother of invention moment. Because they could no longer easily go through the east, they began to wonder if they could go around it. This pressure pushed humans to innovate. They didn't just give up. They started looking at the ocean not as a barrier, but as a highway. It reminds us that even when one path closes, a much bigger one might be about to open. The Maritime Revolution, Portugal. While many were afraid of the Sea of Darkness, a small nation called Portugal started a tech revolution. Prince Henry the Navigator gathered mapmakers and scientists to solve the problem of the ocean. They developed the caravel, a small, highly maneuverable ship with lateen, triangular sails that could sail against the wind. Before this, you were at the mercy of the breeze. This was the Silicon Valley moment of the 1400s. They mastered the astrolabe and the compass. This tells us that even in worse times, human ingenuity and a refusal to be limited by current technology can change the map of the world forever. The quest for reconquista and resources, Spain. Finally, we look to Spain. In 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella had just finished a centuries-long war to unite their country. They were broke, but they were ambitious. They wanted to spread their faith, and frankly, they needed gold to rebuild their nation. When a dreamer named Christopher Columbus suggested he could reach the east by sailing west, it was a massive gamble. Spain took that leap because they were looking for a way out of poverty and towards a more prosperous future. The motivation was a mix of faith, floor-level necessity, and the very human desire to be first to find something great. As we wrap up today, remember this: the move towards America wasn't an accident. It was a result of a world that felt trapped, choosing to be brave instead of staying still. To the young people today, when the world feels blocked, remember the caravel. Remember that humans have always used technology and courage to find new horizons when the old ones grew too small. Next Saturday, the two worlds we've discussed, the vibrant nations of the West and the hungry explorers of the East, will finally meet. Until then, stay curious, stay hopeful, and remember how far we've traveled.